Welcome to Season 1, Episode 38 of Digital Dissection, where we take a closer and possibly unnecessary look at our favorite properties. Today, we visit the Image Comics and AMC juggernaut, The Walking Dead. With the series nearing its end, we're looking back at its trajectory and the journey it would present us. Series spoilers ahead, Coral. You've been warned.
Before we sharpen our machetes, cover ourselves in walker guts, somehow drive vehicles that weren't even released yet when they appeared on TV. We are Chelsea, Joe, and Mark, three friends that are navigating the zombie apocalypse, bringing our love of our favorite properties to your ears.
And if somehow you found the signs of Terminus and you did the wrong impression, and you went for the Walking Dead and not the Walking Dead, why not try looking for us up on all the major podcast platforms, searching for Digital Dissection, a nerd podcast. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our blog, where it ain't like it was before. And if you like this show, leave us a review or tell us what you think by emailing digitaldissectionpodcast@gmail.com.
Once again, the wrong walk-in. You got the wrong walk-in there.
Wrong walking. I can't even do it.
The wrong Walken. Walking Dead. It makes sense. I don't know why he was never on the series. Maybe he shows up in the finale. It was me the whole time.
Imagine him as Negan and imagine you pee-peeing in your pants. Crazy. Look at this guy.
Oh my god! Just maybe he's every character, and this is a one-man show.
Oh my god! Make it happen.
He is both. He's both Rick and Carl. Dad, I can't do it. It's Mom. She's Mom. I can't shoot a dad.
Coral, I can't do it. Do Coral.
Hey, Coral. Your name's Carl, but the actor's British, so he says Coral a lot.
Oh man, this is gonna be rife for like bonus episode stuff.
Yep. Oh, this is great.
Well, who's gonna love that bit of confusing entry for this episode, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's false advertising or just plain and simple confusion for what's going on today.
I mean, it's something.
Yeah. I mean, Sully's whining about it, so it's already one negative review.
Oh yeah. We get the pet desk pop already.
Everyone's a critic.
Well, because of the fact that it is the spookiest month of the year. And we also just sat down with the legendary Lou Temple, who starred on The Walking Dead.
That he did.
Yeah, or as we're calling it, the Sauntering Deceased.
They're prancing about, all back from the grave.
Yeah, it's time to talk a little bit about The Walking Dead. And I'm assuming that at least 1/3 of this group is fans, right?
Yep. Almost 1/3 of us is still watching the show.
Yes. Yep. I will say though, I was a fan of the show. The show.
The show. I was a fan of the show.
I was a fan of the program, the show. For a while.
I very much watched happily the first 3 seasons, but as you guys know, I had to quit doing that on account of my night terrors.
Yeah, the night terrors that's definitely bad news.
It's bad news.
Yeah,
I slip back into that a lot. I think it's just because my normal voice is not that different from Rick, but whatever.
It's got the same smoothness to it.
So similar.
But yeah. So Chelsea has a just debilitating fear of zombies.
Crippling fear of
Indeed.
zombies.
Mhm.
Wow.
So even the lightest of zombie movies, she can't handle. And
No.
they're around. Just no, thank you.
Yes, but
mm,
I was
yeah.
pressured into The Walking Dead because I feel like it was such a cultural
Yeah.
phenomenon. Everyone was watching it. There were shows made just about watching it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would huddle up under my blanket, chew off all my fingernails, and go to sleep and dream about my husband being murdered in front of me in different horrible and incredibly graphic ways. It was awful. Awful. So, you know.
So I think you made it what, 2-3 seasons before
3
you're like,
seasons.
no, 3 seasons and then
3
ouch.
seasons.
Yep.
And you know, at some point it just, there's only so many times you can see your family and friends be ripped apart by a horde of zombies in front of you.
Yeah, the mind works in mysterious ways, doesn't it?
That do.
Well, this actually was for me, it was a comic experience first. I actually read the comics from I think what was this, back in 2003? I want to say is when the comics. Yeah, because it came out right after Invincible did.
Yeah.
And so I ended up reading the comics, and then I took a little bit of a break, and then came back when all of the volumes started coming out. So I got caught back up, and then when I found out the show was on its way, it was just a nerdgasm to the extreme for quite a long time. But what about everybody else, though? I mean, was the show your first experience, or did you read the comics at all?
I definitely read the first 2 volumes of the comics before the show. And like many things in my life, I would like see that this big event is happening, and then I don't want to be confused about the event, so I attempt to do research on it. Because when you look at the author, Robert Kirkman, and the creator of The Walking Dead, I actually read his other zombie work before The Walking Dead, and that was Marvel Zombies, which came out well after The Walking Dead had gone. And I loved Marvel Zombies. It was such a fun story, seeing all the Marvel mainline heroes just get taken out one by one and becoming zombies. So when I heard the show was coming out, and I'm like, well, okay, well, I know that guy. Like, I've read a book or two that he's written. So then I went on down to Planet Chaos in Fort Atkinson and picked up Walking Dead's Volume 1 and 2. And that's as far as I got when the show came on. And then I never looked back.
You know, the comic was a little bit different if you read the original first issues, because back then, I think Tony Moore did the first, I think 4 or 5. He was the actual illustrator on those, and then he would get replaced by Charlie Adlard after that. And there's been some questions about, you know, what happened here. Is this meant for Maury Povich? And it wasn't. It totally wasn't.
No.
Like years later, Robert Kirkman would say that it was a scheduling thing. They were so concerned at Image Comics with like, okay, we need to hit a schedule. This needs to happen here. So basically, Moore was up on out. Adler got replaced. So the art, like the art form that a lot of us see for The Walking Dead now, is because of that. And the original issues from with Moore's illustrations, he actually continued to do the covers for a while. So that's why the covers might look different than what you actually read inside the comic book. So,
well, which, you know, if you read comic books, that shouldn't shock you that the cover art's dramatically different than what you get inside. But yeah, it is just depicting like Maury Povich like crying in the background with an envelope that he never gets to open up and read. When we find out this was just a scheduling thing, and that you will be the artist.
Yes, you will be the illustrator. And then he gets up and starts dancing and, like, you know, all that good stuff. So, oh man, I just this property, good Lord, it is like a bestseller in every possible way. I mean, if we're talking about keychains at Hot Topic, I mean, coloring books, I mean, it doesn't matter what you're making with The Walking Dead. That it's making a ton of money. I wish we could have gotten that money somehow, Chelsea. What do you think?
I mean, our production value would be a lot.
Maybe we'd be able to afford
we
the.
wouldn't have to be hiring these shitty voice actors that we keep.
Yeah, we could pay real people to do our intros.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine that if we had like an old dude that some of these true crime podcasts use, and it's like, this is all dissection, not intended for all audiences.
Just give me the unsolved mysteries guy, right?
Oh God, Robert Stack.
Oh, the original, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Robert Stack and the I always forget the actor's name, but they're both deceased now. Yeah. It's like the original and the second revival.
So both passed away. I think our best hope is Jonathan Frakes then.
Ooh, yeah. Start your day off right, but well, hey, looking at The Walking Dead, so Image Comics at first, like, they didn't really release any numbers on, like how many issues are being sold or anything of that nature. So like over time, they did start releasing estimates because of just how ridiculous things were. And I think from the most recent stuff, they had about 100,000 like copies, I think, like actually year over year, I think. And now it's like 300,000 copies year over year get sold. So, I mean, it's batshit insane just how big of a cash cow this became.
It just keeps coming. And so there are coloring books for The Walking Dead out there? Are these like these adult coloring books, or like we give these to our children?
I would assume it's probably adult coloring books, although I thought that shit was supposed to be relaxing. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's like that's the opposite for you. Someone hands you fucking Walking Dead. Why would you do this to me?
I'm running out of red. I'm running out of red.
Color your favorite scene with Lori giving birth.
Oh
no.
And we're all laughing, of course. Well, hey, despite the success of the comic book, going from the page to the small screen did take quite a while to happen. Nowadays when we see adaptations occur, I mean, a book comes out and then 3 months later, suddenly there's a trilogy. Well, I say trilogy, but like 2 movies, and then there's a 3rd movie that's split into 2 parts. But this took 5 years of development to actually get onto television.
Ooh, like
wow.
Like 5 years of just people like on a table arguing, or 5 years of like actually going around and trying to sign people for it?
5 years of shopping the show around to different networks and trying to get people to bite. Yes.
That's crazy because it was such a huge success just right off the bat too. And you hear that though about a lot of really popular and successful, shows and franchises. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at that with the Squid Games on Netflix now. That thing got shot down for decades by the sounds of it.
Yeah. I think what was that idea as old as like 2009 or something? I can't remember exactly, but I remember it was, I mean, it's a fresh idea to us, but not to the guy that wrote it. That's for sure.
Tale as old as time. It makes you sad for all the stuff that never sees the light of day.
Yeah.
All the best shit's not being made. That's what you like.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because like you're gonna like how many like things are like actually original ideas that people just like, nah, people aren't gonna fucking watch that. They want the same shit over and over again, so we don't get to see all this new original stuff ever.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really what's funny about this is that despite the fact that it's an original idea, despite zombies kind of being everything, but Frank Darabont is one of the reasons why we even have the show. And for those that actually listened to our Ben Heck episode, Ben Heck does not like Frank Darabont's The Green Mile because he thought it was just boring. But Frank Darabont, I mean, there are some things that happen behind the scenes that we'll get into here, but he's really the reason why this show found a home. And it was that 5 years of dedication, refining what they wanted to do with it. That's why we got what we did. And he would end up actually writing just about like 2/3 of the first season. And even the first episode of season 2, he would also be attached to. But I just remember when season 1 came out. I was so excited for it, and then I see an article that he leaves the show, that Darabont is no longer a part of it, and it was pretty fast. And because email scandals are topical right now,
Yeah, people do like a good email
Yeah.
scandal.
well, the emails kind of came out a little bit here. Darabont would actually be. I don't want to know if physical threats are the right thing, but like,
Oh,
I'm paraphrasing, but he said, you know, whoever walks into this office, I'm going to kill the shit out of them. They're going to find pieces, that kind of thing.
Jeez.
A lot of stress on this show. He got
little
really,
bit, yeah.
really upset about the show with people, and it led to a very, very quick exit. I think the worst part about it was that even though it took a long time for him to get the show to AMC, and you would think that because AMC took a shot on it, maybe they would, you know, give a little more creative license, or maybe they would give a little more bandwidth because of the fact that they were the only ones that, you know, that went forward with it. I guess there was some red tape behind the scenes, most notably from a budgetary standpoint. And
Yeah, the darn budget.
Yeah, money.
Yeah.
Always holds a show back.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
I mean, I guess if I was the AMC like executive and I go, hey guys, I have a bill for, you know, 40 sheriff hats on here, custom made. Can anybody tell me about that a little bit?
Yep. And why are they made with sable? This seems a bit much here.
Well, this is Rick's daytime hat, and this is his evening wear hat, and this is his fucking up the zombies hat, and this is his parenting hat. This is the dirty hat. This is the formal hat.
And this is the holster that is made entirely out of bald eagle foreskin.
Oh, I thought it might be tiny hats.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, the budgetary problems really took an impact in season 2, and really what AMC was asking them to do was, okay, well, you made 6 episodes with this budget. Now we want you to do a little over twice that, but with less money. And Darabont's like, yeah, fuck this, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Fuck this shit, I'm out, right? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We're done.
It ain't like it was before. He's out. So I think they finally wrapped up this $280 million lawsuit that Darabont brought to AMC. So like they're getting there, or
so like
maybe not.
Hold on, like Darabont sued for 280, or like AMC sued him for 280?
Darabont sued them.
He's like, I'm gonna get my budget, motherfuckers. Watch out.
Yeah, bitches.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna go make my new zombie show with the money I got from.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be better.
This one's gonna have explosions
and hookers.
The Walking Dead is happening. Okay, it's happening. Yeah.
Yep, the Street Walking Dead is.
Yeah, the Street. Looking at the vision of the show and I guess just the imagery and what we got in that first season. I mean, it's far more cinematic than it is just TV show, and that does set the tone. I mean, for the whole rest of the series, even up to now. I mean, you don't have that look without the breadcrumbs they kind of laid down there.
For sure, but you don't have him, you know, horseback riding out of Atlanta like with freaking dead civilization everywhere. That was some badass cinematography, and I think it's part of the reason why I could stomach watching the show. You know, like it was worth it because it was good.
Yeah, I was thinking like that exact same scene that you just said, Chelsea, when Mark said cinematography. I'm like, yeah, the fucking scene of him walking down the highway out of dead Atlanta, like, oh, very good.
Yeah.
Well, I also do. I mean, I do not stand for some of the stuff that Darabont wrote to the cast and crew. Like some of it's just there's no way you can support it. But as far as taking something straight from the comic and putting it into this form, the riding into Atlanta on a horse, that is totally ripped straight from the comic, and the depiction just was beautiful on the show. So, I mean, we're not going to do a sheriff's hat tip to Darabont or anything, but that recognizable look, it's only there because they developed that idea for as long as they did.
So what you're saying is he Darabont took that horse on the Old Town Road and he rode it
Oh God.
till he couldn't ride no more because he got kicked off the show. No more riding horse.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's too bad that song wasn't out when that episode premiered. They probably would have just put that right on there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Or with the way things are trending now, that reference is already dated.
Oh God, Joe, it's
very old.
I mean, old. You're already drifting into like, we're not even saying dad jokes anymore. This is like boomer jokes territory.
Pretty much. Except we are the new boomers. Go millennials. This weird place between boomers and Gen Z where both of them think that we're the other.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't care. Just leave me alone with my avocado toast.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, leave me alone with my grape nuts and my wheat germ and my prune juice.
First of all, don't you be coming for my grape nuts, because I fucking love grape nuts.
These are not water chestnuts.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I gotta bear that one. I don't want to get back into the weeds of water chestnuts again. It's too early in the episode, damn it. But you know, I think that's the thing though that was so beautiful about The Walking Dead was the comic was fantastic. It dropped you into this just hectic as fuck environment, right? And what they did really well with season 1 was like, you don't have any time to really think about where you are, and then each episode kind of starts with a flashback. So the storytelling aspect of it, I thought was probably the best of any season they've done, because they do take time to kind of clue you back in as to what was going on. And when it comes to like zombie movies, where would you guys rather be? Would you rather be just plopped into the pandemonium, or do you want to actually see things kind of escalate and reach a certain point?
This is something funny that I often ask myself, because, you know, it freaks me out so much that I really do think about this quite a lot. And that is, how would I fare? And Matt says that I'm like deader than dead. Like, I'm super fucking dead. He's like, you're fucking dead. There's no, you're so dead. But I don't know. I think I'm a little scrappy.
You could do it. I think you're tough.
Yeah, I'm tough. So I think I could do it. Maybe I would prefer to be dropped in the middle of it. I think in the middle of the pandemonium versus, I don't even know. Do I have weapons?
I mean, you have what's available to you. So like for instance, I have Donna Katana and Betty Machete White, who are in my apartment, because I've named the 2 weapons that I own.
Well, those are really good names. Those are good names.
Thank you. I had help from a friend.
Yeah. Well, friends are great for that. I don't know. I mean, for a while I've had like this thing, like I know what I would do. I would gather my loved ones. I would take my pets. I would grab my weapons. I would get in my vehicle. I would drive out to my grandparents' farm out in the middle of nowhere, where we would set up shop and like try and survive on our own away from society. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's where I was gonna throw some opinions out, was that, you know, I like zombie movies or zombie properties where you do get to see some of the pre-zombie life. And I think some of the most fun aspects of these experiences are when you get to see what that contrast is. Now, the whole like feel of the Walking Dead was really meant to be more about the survival and the journey people take, you know, once things go to shit. And it's like, okay, that's fine, I get that. But for me, in season 1, getting to see the pandemonium of the traffic when they're trying to get into Atlanta, when Shane and Lori and Coral, you know, they're trying to get into Atlanta, and then the military carpet bombs it.
Yeah.
Like that feeling of despair told through a flashback. It's like instant. Okay, I'm caught up, and I know why these people are the way they are in the present. And so season 1 I think from a character building standpoint, did the best with that, because in later seasons, you get introduced to somebody, you don't see them for like 4 episodes. Suddenly they get a bunch of exposition and you're like, oh, that bitch is dead.
Yeah, they're not going to make it. Not making it. You are putting a lot of investment into this character for some people to foolishly get emotionally involved with them, and then you're taking them away.
Well, I don't know. I think there was so much hope in the first season too, and in the beginning, like, you know, okay, you know, Rick's alive. He's found his family. They're gonna look. They're gonna find a cure. We're going to the CDC and all that shit, you know. But then it's gut wrenching because it just devolves into absolute shit and chaos. There is no hope. We watch hope slowly die.
Yep.
That's fucking terrifying.
And in season 1 specifically, when you meet Morgan, played by Leonard James, you know, when you see them meet up, like for me, that was the last save point before the shit hit the fan. You know, I love that interaction between Morgan and Rick, and like, you know, you're a good man, Rick, and like, and then they part ways, and you're like, oh man, am I ever gonna see him again? But you're like,
I know.
But you have a good feeling about it. They got the walkie-talkies, you know. They can talk at night.
Yeah. That's the thing too. You stop seeing nice people.
Yeah,
it's true.
It just goes away. Like which is exactly what would happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be worse, I think, than what the show actually portrays.
Yeah.
I think if that were to happen in real life, it would be worse.
And it's so dumb. And it would be worse. It absolutely would be worse because people will just go into like the worst form of survival. But like the whole thing, like you get to what is it, season 3 when the governor comes in?
Ugh.
Yeah.
And so you have his whole town and all their resources, and then you have our main squad in the prison with their prison resources. And it's like, why not pool the resources into a massive community and just fucking get along with each other?
Because I don't like you, that's why, and I want your shit.
Because it doesn't work that way, Joe.
We're not from around here.
It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't. And it's just like, fucking hell, like just band together. Use all of the gun food and silent, like, you know, arrow stuff to like take the zombies out. As opposed,
and you bring up a good point. In the comic books, we don't get like an overabundance of rednecks right away. And I thought that was something really, really funny about the TV shows, because, you know, Merle and Daryl Dixon are original characters that just show up in the show. And so I thought that was funny that you get a couple of rednecks that are plopped right in the middle of everything, and the comic like makes no mention of them. And I'm like, you know what? In rural Georgia, I think you're going to find a couple of guys like that. I really do.
A couple. Have you been to rural Georgia?
Oh, I've touched all 50 states. I've seen rednecks everywhere. They're like tardigrades. They can survive in any environment.
Oh my gosh. And so, like, do you think, like, this probably is completely wrong, but I have to think that Norman Reedus and why am I blanking on Merle's actor's name right now?
Oh, God, why is this always happening?
See, this is horrible. Mary Poppins, for lack of better terms.
Mary Poppins, yo. Damn it. Oh, this always happens to me too.
Killer. It'll pop in halfway through the episode. But anyway, I have to imagine they both show up to the audition, or they're told that, you know, hey, there's a show coming up. Maybe you two should try out. So they try out. There's something they're like, these guys are fucking brilliant, and there's no character to match them. Let's just make characters for them.
Yeah, well, Michael Rooker was perfect for the role of Merle Dixon.
There it is.
I mean, he
Michael
was perfect.
Rooker.
Yeah, he was perfect for the role.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and I think. Oh, sorry. I think I cut off Chelsea. Chelsea, did I hear you in there? I did not want to cut over.
I don't think I don't know. No.
Okay, sorry. We've had this bad like habit Joe and I have of like viciously cutting off Chelsea like right when she's about to start talking, and now we're very aware of it.
Say something so great too. No, I'm fucking kidding. I don't know.
You son of a bitch.
Yep. Son of a bitch. And like a student driver in rush hour traffic, we just fuck you over.
Well, speaking of being fucked over, Now, this was one of the good aspects of the early part of The Walking Dead was the love triangle between Shane, Rick, and Lori.
Yeah.
Because as we know, everybody thought Rick was dead, and so Shane
Except
and
for
Lori.
Shane knew he wasn't dead.
Yeah. Damn it, Shane.
Well, yeah,
I mean, he could surmise that he probably was dead, but the last time he saw him, he was motherfucking alive.
Yep.
I mean, when I think the quote from the show is like, he says to Lori, he's like, Lori, when I left him there, he looked like he wasn't going to make it. And it's like, I don't know, who do you trust? You know?
Yeah, and then he moves in like 2 hot seconds later.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He's pounding poor Lori in the forest, man. And
in the forest.
Yeah.
Among the forest creatures.
Yeah, she's just walking out there trying to do some laundry, minding her own business, and suddenly he just shows up.
And like, where the fuck is Coral?
Oh, he's being watched.
Who the fuck leaves their child alone in the zombie apocalypse to go freaking get some poon nanny in the woods? Who does this?
That is high romance in the zombie apocalypse, I'm convinced. There's no more dinner dates. There's no more like outdoor, like nice, like Christmas light scenarios with a single table and a candle and your favorite song playing. All that's gone. Now it's, this is laundry. The kid's not here. There doesn't happen anything trying to eat us right now. Let's do this.
Yeah. Just frog legs and Uncle Dale watching you with his old sun hat up on the RV.
Yeah. Oh, Dale.
But hey, before we get to Dale, though, we're not going to mirror everything from the comics, but the love triangle that occurred was one of those decisions that the showrunners decided to carry forward longer than it was supposed to.
Oh, yeah.
In the comic book, Shane is, he's shot like right away.
It as long. Yeah.
Yeah.
They made a good decision making it last as long as they did, I think, for dramatic effect. But I mean, I don't know. I didn't shed any tears for poor dear Shane.
Well,
I just wish he would have fucking stayed dead.
He came back for like, what, 30 seconds?
I don't give a shit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Stay down, you bastard.
That literally that scared me more than anything when he started getting back up, because we didn't know then. We didn't know then.
That death is just a guarantee that you're a zombie.
We're all infected.
Yep, fucking
and
fluoride,
that's
man.
The worst part.
Hey, the only thing worse than an alive John Bernthal is a reanimated John Bernthal.
Especially now that he's I can say now that he's the Punisher, since he was the Punisher. Way worse now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think it was a smart move to keep him around for a lot longer, because that was one of the most compelling aspects of early Walking Dead, that once again, we don't really get anything kind of like this later on. I mean, I guess you could say the governor kind of descends into madness a little bit, but you could tell he was simmering in that pot of soup for a long time.
Yeah.
You know,
you can tell he's just a dude that he's just a sadistic fuck who likes that it's the zombie apocalypse because he can be a sadistic fuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he has a reason to be one, and it's cool.
Like he was born an asshole and a sadistic fuck, and he just happens to thrive in a zombie apocalypse.
Yes. It would be like, I don't even know. I can't even compare it to anyone. Insert crazy serial killer here. You know what I mean?
Well, here's one way to look at it. When you domesticate cats, right? Cats kind of turn on that switch and go, yep, I know where my food is. I know where my litter box is. I poop there. Sometimes I don't, but I usually do. And if for some reason the cat gets let outside, guess what? There's a clock that starts ticking that goes, I revert back to a previous operating system once I'm no longer in this environment. They can go feral again. And so you see that happen with Shane Walsh in the early part of Walking Dead. Like, you could tell that this guy, he wasn't like unhinged at first, but that process happens little by little for them. You know, he lost a lot, but then he loses a little bit more, and everything he loses, it just creates this monster over time. And so I mean, you just don't get something nearly as like nearly as like well fleshed out
Yeah.
as that transformation does early on.
Yeah.
And I mean, for a lot of folks, the earliest portions of The Walking Dead are probably where most, either like in the season 2, a lot of folks got started with season 2, and it's one of the like most well-known parts of the comics too, going to Herschel's farm and meeting his family, and the walkers are in the barn. That whole thing was a pretty well-known story arc.
Yeah, but I have to say that's where Glenn starts to take off as a great character. Like,
love me some Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn was such a fun character, and I feel like he was such a young, naive, nice little hopeful little boy in season 1, and then season 2 hits. He's like, nope, we are growing the fuck up now.
Yeah, battle hardened.
Yeah, battle hardened Glenn. Yeah, good time. I'm Glenn. A man. Well, there is that aspect of Glenn's character in season 2 as well.
Yeah.
Did you see what they did at the general store? I mean,
again, high romance in the zombie apocalypse. If it's not the woods, it's a general store that you're raiding for supplies.
Yep. He went to the store a boy, and he returned to the farm a man. Yeah, the farm was part of that AMC struggle, though. How long can we stretch out this budget? And that's why season 2, almost the entirety, is spent there. And I think this is one of the first points of The Walking Dead's TV adaptation where we really get like a big mistake, right? Like some folks were turned off by the CDC episode in season 1. It felt disjointed because of the source material. That doesn't happen in the comic. They never go to the CDC. But in the TV universe, it's cool because it kind of gives you the notion of something about the apocalypse and what causes reanimation, and that's something you do find out in the comics too after a certain point. But Dr. Jenner's not the one that delivers that news, so it's fine. But I would say this mistake, that one of the early mistakes of The Walking Dead's TV series was Sophia goes missing. Yeah, it's not interesting.
Yeah. Honestly, you don't give a shit.
No.
Sorry, you can make more kids.
Yeah, I don't know.
Go back to like the farmhand style of child making.
Well, not to mention, Rick's advice to Sophia when he tells her, head back to the group, and then he's like, "But keep the sun on your right shoulder." And I'm like, bro, that's just like fucking toilet paper when this says, this toilet paper is enough to stretch from here to Taiwan. It's like, why don't you just fucking tell her, go walk this direction?
Yeah.
Right? Like, just say, go the fuck over there. Instead, he doesn't. And then we end up spending the entire first half of season 2 looking for Sophia.
Well, you just know she's fucking dead.
Yeah, she has to be dead.
It's not even a consideration that she's alive, right? I mean, I don't know.
It's just like when you see a missing animal poster in a neighborhood for like a Pomeranian, and it's been like 3 years, and you're like, you just gotta hang that up.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. There are coyotes in this area. Like that. Like Snowball didn't make it.
I was gonna call it Snowball too.
Oh, look at us on the same page tonight.
Except I wasn't thinking coyote. I was absolutely thinking like a hawk or an owl, like carrying it off. Because to me, that's funnier.
Birds of prey.
More funny.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Oh yeah, I just remember like with Sully as a tiny puppy, and my parents are watching him, and I'm like, you cannot let him out outside unsupervised at night because of owls.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that one happened. I'm like, no,
it will.
You have owls. You can't let him outside. He's a potato that's walking.
Yeah.
You need to watch him.
Yep.
And unfortunately, they did not watch Sophia, and she ends up in Herschel's barn. Yeah. And I will say the build up to it, when you finally get there, I mean, it is like when I hate to have to, Chelsea, I'm sorry again about the wicked shit idea here, but
it's okay.
Yeah, it's like when you're in the car and you're like, 6 blocks from home, and you're like, that payoff is worth it. And so is this one. When they finally do see Sophia, I mean, it was like one of the biggest TV moments from that era. And So I will give them credit for that, but the whole search was just it just went on and on.
Forever. I
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the barn too? Why are we keeping them? Are we like hoping that we can fix them, or why are we keeping them?
I don't know either, because like
Why are they keeping them?
I get like you don't want to see a loved one like die, but they're already dead. You know what you
but-
can do is you can just let them go.
No,
Yeah.
Herschel thinks they're sick and
That's true.
and that they'll get better, and they don't.
Well, Herschel, they are literally rotten. Like they're rotting.
Limbs
to
are
take out
falling
the
right
trash.
off, man. There's no coming back from that.
So that's what I don't get. And why were they? Oh, whatever. I won't.
Yeah, that was his whole point. His whole point was that, you know, because okay, so they don't build on this nearly as much in the TV show, but in the comics, I mean, Herschel's got like a gaggle of kids. You know, like he's got a couple. Yeah, he's got a couple daughters, and you know, and everything in the TV show. But like in the comics, he's got like it's like something like 10 family members, and of course, half of them wind up in the barn. So he has a little bit more, you know, a little bit more incentive to. Yeah.
Every sperm is sacred, guys.
God damn it. Sure are. But either way, just like all good things, they do have to come to an end, and that barn gets all burnt down and that farm gets all torn up. But
they got to move on. Herschel loses a leg at some point.
Oh God, that was wicked. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like why is this on network television?
I mean, it was cool. And I'm happy that their little experiment worked. They did some science right on the.
They did.
They did.
Well,
some fringe science right there.
Yeah.
This is a good time to mention parallels, though. Okay, so I know I said I wasn't going to do the comic thing a whole lot, comparing it, but whose leg do you think that was supposed to be? Because it wasn't supposed to be Herschel's.
Was it Rick's leg?
No, it wasn't Rick's.
Is it Coral's leg?
Wasn't Coral's, no.
And Shane's already dead. So is it Lori's leg?
Nope, it was Dale's leg.
Oh, Dale.
Yeah, so in the show, Dale dies at the end of season 2. Yeah. Spoiler alert, right? He gets his gut all ripped up, and
that he does.
And then Daryl has to say goodbye, brother. And so in the comic, though, yeah, it's Dale who loses his leg, and so Herschel kind of takes over as the surrogate old man, which he plays quite well.
I loved Herschel. I really did.
Oh God, Scott Wilson.
Old Pappy Herschel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Scott Wilson. He did knock it out of the park. Brilliantly played. And that beard of his, good Lord, I didn't even know he was capable of such a thing.
It was mighty.
Yeah, it was at least 5 Rikers long, and that's respectable.
Well, here's something that ain't respectable, and it's what they did to Lori and Andrea on this TV show. Now, there's not a lot of fans of Lori. You know, she's still not the best character in the comics, so maybe not so much her. But Andrea is absolutely screwed over on this TV show from a character development standpoint. I mean, when I'm looking at mistakes in the comics, you know, she goes through a journey of, you know, trying to understand loss when she loses her sister early on, and she comes to terms with it and finds purpose in the apocalypse, and she becomes like a sharpshooter for the group. Like she's like one of the best shots the entire team. And so when they reduce her to kind of a romantic interest and, you know, randomly touching Shane's crotch after a gunfire session, I just did not understand why. Like, what did Lori Holden do to people to get that?
I don't know, but I mean, if that's how character arcs work, I mean, I'd sleep around in the zombie apocalypse. Why not?
They just made her so annoying, and it was painful. And by the time that when she died, that should have been just like a gut wrenching moment. And it was like, thank God the noise has stopped. It just, I don't know. I just had no sympathy towards her, and she really she was whiny and annoying, and I don't know. Pull your bootstraps up. It's a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, because like they tried making her death pretty dramatic. They had a big lead up to it when it was.
Oh yeah, I mean her death was dramatic. It's just like you weren't sad to see her go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because of all the transgressions and the lack of bonding that you got, and unfortunately too, it weaves into a season where you get the Woodbury side of things, and then you get the prison side. So like the episodes get split up because you're focusing on one half for the other. And then when they finally do start crossing over, there's just not enough there for you to be like, yeah, I'm truly attached to Andrea, because I mean the narrative didn't allow me to. It just didn't. And so I was actually really pissed off at that character death. You know, like when Dale got killed off, I knew that was a Darabont thing. So Jeffrey DeMunn, I believe, he played Dale. He's a Darabont like long-term collaborator. These guys work together all the time, bunch of different movies.
Yep.
And so he said at the end of season 2, he's like, yeah, I want to be killed off because Frank's not here. It was his thing, and I'm out, right? But with like Laurie Holden, it's like, did she get somebody like a Christmas gift that didn't go over well, or you know? I mean, what did she do to get that kind of development? It was so bad.
And that's a twisted like thing to do. It's like, so here's a character that could be interesting and is well liked in the franchise, but fuck if we're just gonna go the other direction with her. Yeah. And we're gonna make everyone hate her before we finally kill her off. And then who knows? Maybe for some reason, as a surprise twist at the end of the series, she's back.
But I mean, people were like legit happy. Like people were happy when she died.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that bad.
I wouldn't say like Joffrey happy when she died.
No,
but pretty darn close.
But Joffrey was a literal tyrant, like the worst. I mean, Andrea, she shouldn't even be comparable to Joffrey.
No,
I mean, she's not supposed to be an evil character. She's not supposed to be a bad character. But yet here we are, and the world loved to see her go.
Yeah, it was rough. It was really rough to see that whole thing play out. I think really what it starts to drift into here is that obviously when people start dying at first, we were connected to these characters. We really enjoyed their presence, and so when they died off, it felt a little more personal. It felt like you actually, you know, we're losing something. And then after that, it became okay. Well, we know at the mid-season break, someone has to die.
Someone's going out.
Yeah.
And at the end of the season, someone's going out.
Yep. And so death becomes shock value. It does not have any meaning anymore. And we see that happen quite a few times, not just early in the series, but also towards the end. Especially like Glenn, where they had the gotcha moment where that dude blows his brains out right in front of him and he survives, but he's slipping underneath a garbage can. And people weren't happy about that. They're like, okay, I don't think Glenn is dead. If you guys did kill him, that is the worst possible way you could have done it. It's just fucking awful.
Yep.
But as I say that, I got to speak out of the other side of my mouth for just one moment, because in getting rid of Dale, one of the things I was really worried about was a group of cannibals that show up in the comics. And they molded this into the Terminus plot line, you know, where they're eating people and driving everybody there as a safe haven, right? It's a very poignant moment in the comics where, you know, Dale gets kidnapped. He's been bitten, okay? So he's like, he survived the prison, he survived the war with the governor, and he gets bit and decides, you know what, I'm gonna just leave the group and at night so they don't have to deal with me. And so in the show, it's actually Bob who takes his place, where he's screaming, you know, tainted meat, you're eating tainted meat. Well, that was Dale's arc. And so for me, if you're a comic book reader, as you can probably tell, I've got some choices that I'm not happy with here. I'm happy that they kept this one in. This was one of the this is what I would call a series mistake still, because I think it was much more meaningful when it happened to Dale. When Bob got killed off, you're like, who's Bob?
Yeah, who's Bob? Honestly, I was thinking that as you said it. I'm like, who the fuck was Bob again?
No, I don't know Bob.
See, we're all lost on Bob.
That's in memory.
Made that up.
Yeah. And right now, the 12 people still listening to us like, who the fuck was Bob?
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck is this Bob guy they're talking about?
I think they're making him up.
I don't remember Bob.
No, and not even the slightest do I fucking remember Bob, like, because he's not T-Dog.
Oh, that's right.
Nope.
How could we forget good old T-Dog, played by Iron Singleton, who they killed the shit out of him.
Yeah,
prison.
T-Dog
Sure
done
do.
got killed good. Poor T-Dog. Oh,
That's
God.
hilarious. I forgot. I had forgotten about him and all that. Oh my God.
Like if you've ever watched somebody eat a chicken wing and leave no tendon, nothing behind, that is what happened to poor T-Dog in the prison.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. T-Dog.
Yeah. Once again, an original character, though. An original character to the Walking Dead universe. He did not appear in the comics. So, yeah, just turn him into bits. But even saying that, though, his death meant more to me than Andrea's.
Agreed.
Yeah. That's because we like T-Dog more. I mean, hell, just calling him T-Dog instead of his actual name. We got more of a person we liked than Andrea.
Agreed. Agreed.
Unfortunately, he didn't get much character development, but he did have a very important line in season 2 where it's right near the end. They've opened the barn up and he's walking by Rick, and Rick goes, "T-Dog, go get a shotgun." And he nods at him. That's the moment. That's all he got. He didn't get much.
That's not a line. I was waiting for the line, like, okay, we're pausing for.
No, there's no line. T-Dog was like, I mean, I'll give them credit for this.
That's a mannerism. That's not a line.
No, that's just a
I
nod. Like there probably wasn't even eye contact.
Oh, I know, but that's it. That's all T-Dog got. He didn't get anything. He barely got anything, and so that's where some people have kind of weighed in on this and said that, you know, AMC and The Walking Dead, they did a good job on paper with the inclusion, but the only issue, was it's like most of the characters that you're including, you're not giving much to, and you kill them immediately.
Yeah, and I was kind of hoping, Mark, that when we introduced T-Dog's pivotal line there, that you're going to make us guess what it was, because I was going to go with that there's a troll in the dungeon.
Oh,
thought you ought to know.
Fortunately not.
He's suddenly British in the middle of the whole thing.
But hey, man. Okay, so we've talked about some of the bad cuts of The Walking Dead. How about we shift back to some of the best cuts? And you mentioned a British folk. I'd like to mention how David Morrissey was one of the best villains, you know, obviously outside of Negan here, but I mean, but David Morrissey, holy shit, he did a good job gaslighting an entire community, you know, somehow using his sexual powers to turn Andrea against her own people.
Oh, God. He honestly was so, like, you just loved to hate. I actually hated him.
Oh, really?
No, I mean, like, I loved the character, but my hate was real.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did touch on that a little bit ago, that so the character of the governor in the comics, and there's actually a novel they wrote just to build out his backstory. I mean, none of it is making any sense. You know, there's stolen identities, there's zombie daughters, there's all kinds of weird shit going on with that character. And what I will say is that they did give enough time for his bizarre nature to come out. You know, it didn't feel like it was a shock at that point because you'd gotten enough. So, I mean, I know I just talked shit on that transformation compared to Shane's, but they're both pretty good. They're both pretty solid.
I feel like the thing with him is he starts off and you're like, oh my God, look at this community. Like, finally, they've found some place where they're all like, they're going to be safe. It's going to be great. And then it's like, wait a minute, though. There's something like,
there's always going to be something
fucking nuts in this dude's eye. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you can just tell, like,
yeah, he's like the HOA.
Funky is happening here.
He's the HOA of the zombie apocalypse. There's always some kind of fuckery around the corner with him, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, when you look at the ratings, though, and you look at the viewership, I mean, these seasons were some of the most watched and the best reviewed.
You sit there the whole time on the edge of your seat, like,
yeah,
what happened?
I remember like really like clinging to these first three. Like
Yeah.
I admittedly I think I fell off on the show like around season 5. Like I'm just like, we're like the formula's there. If a new character shows up, there's like a 50-50 chance they're not making it this season.
Yeah.
So but no, those first 3 seasons, like I was watching every episode. I was looking forward to every episode. Hell, like season 3 is where we get I think the YouTube user Daryl Dixon made a great 80s mix of the Walking Dead theme for a Walking Dead theme song. It was hilarious. That I will be posting in the show notes, by the way, so you can all enjoy it. But yeah, no, like absolute gold in the first 3 seasons.
Well, not to mention our friend Lou Temple showed up in that season.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's like, and also like Dean Bahar was in season 1 technically.
He was
in the web series. Yeah,
he was in the web
Zero.
Yeah, he's actually chewing on poor bike girl on the ground there.
Yeah,
which
that was for him.
yeah. I think I messaged Dean saying that, dude, would you eat that many carbs now? Actually, no, that's a low carb.
Is that really
I think that's what it was.
Like,
yeah,
I think that's what it was.
Protein.
Yeah, you were eating low carb even back then, man. Yeah. Good for the diet, man. There's not a whole lot of carbs in those bodies you're chewing on.
No, and yeah, I mean,
flesh all day and not gain a pound.
For my understanding, humans are relatively lean meat, so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not Americans, but
not Americans. No, not with our lifestyle.
Gotta chew through that visceral.
But hey, that does mean we're full of flavor.
Yeah.
So there's that. We have
that. Render all that out.
Yeah.
Low and slow. I have a feeling we're delicious.
Yeah, you slow cook us?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? We are bags of meat that are, basically cooked at 90 degrees all day, every day. Yet, you know what? We don't fall off the bone.
Wait, I've been being slow cooked my whole life.
Your entire life. Yeah. And if you jump into a hot tub, you're being sous vide. But you know what?
Ooh.
Yep. And we joke about
fancy.
We joke about Florida being God's waiting room, but really it's like God's sizzler.
Is that a pressure cooker? Is Florida a pressure cooker?
It might be.
Could I mention for a moment? We have somehow not mentioned Greg Nicotero this entire time.
No, we haven't.
I mean, we're talking award-winning makeup artist. When you look at folks like Darabont and how much effort he put into getting this thing to go, I don't think this show, regardless of writing, goes anywhere without that guy. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Chelsea, but do you think the Night Terrors would be as intense as Greg Nicotero was?
I was just about to say, I probably need to reframe some of my blame, I guess, on my sleepless fucking nights.
Yes, you now have a name to your frustration.
Yeah, that's right. I'm about to write some fan mail, we'll call it.
Yeah, Greg Nicotero is about to get a strongly worded letter as of this episode.
Dear sir,
how dare you commit yourself to this realism?
Yeah, dear sir, I'm writing this to you as read.
And you may think that I'm writing you on behalf to the children, but I must say unto thee, fuck those kids. You have terrified me.
Oh man, but hey, speaking of hate mail, okay, we're gonna kind of draw this to a conclusion point because we've talked about some pretty positive feelings towards the early portions of The Walking Dead. Now, if you start to look at a map of the ratings episode to episode, season to season, there is a very big drop-off that happens right after season 7. And we've talked about some of the things that may have led up to that, whether it's, just essentially walking. There's some seasons where we're just walking long periods of time.
That's never good.
No.
Unless you're going to Mordor, that shit's just not going to fly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
I'll keep my comments to myself.
Well, but after a while, though, I mean, you can't keep killing off main characters, right?
I was going to say, how many of the originals are left at this point?
Of the original cast,
Yeah.
I think we've got Daryl, Carol, at like the current time. Once again, we're spoiling the shit out of this. I think it's like Daryl, Carol, and Morgan
Maggie?
technically. Yeah, well, Maggie's season 2. She's not even season 1.
That's right.
Yeah.
She's
So-
not
so-
original. That's right. That's right.
So Daryl, Carol, and Morgan technically are still alive. Morgan's actually on the Fear the Walking Dead show. He crossed the fuck over
He did.
to
He
the
got a
spin-off show.
spin-off.
yeah.
So you're starting to lose, the characters that you really bonded with, and as I've mentioned this before, folks. Obviously, spoiler alert: if you haven't watched The Walking Dead, especially up to season 7, just turn this episode off right now because I'm about to blow the fucking lid off of this. You've been warned. Twice now. Thrice now.
We'll give you
thrice.
3 seconds to leave. 1, 2, 3.
A tree. So once we're introduced to a man named Negan
Ah, yes.
and his happy little bat named Lucille, wrapped in barbed wire, there's 2 very important deaths that occur. Our friend Abraham and unfortunately, Joe, your boy Glenn.
Poor Glenn. Glenn.
God.
No.
Not the innocents.
Yeah.
I had a muffin once that I bought from Quick Trip that I accidentally dropped a can of soda on.
I'm excited to see how this somehow connects to what we're doing.
I was gonna say, what did we invent?
And the look of Glenn's face after he meets Lucille reminded me a lot of what happened to the top of that muffin.
Oh.
Yeah, just wrapped around that thing, and that, I mean, we've seen brutality in The Walking Dead. It's not like we weren't familiar with it, but once that happened, the show saw a massive drop off. We're talking millions of people stopped tuning in.
People fucking loved him.
Yeah, Glenn was so great.
Yeah,
everyone loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham, we're not going to talk about Abraham.
Whatever. And Rick got to walk out into the sunset because, again, spoiler alert, Rick's not on the show anymore, but he didn't fucking get killed off. He was just done. Like, nope, we're going to settle down with my samurai hottie and have another baby, and we're just going to stay here. Everyone go.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's the unfortunate reality of The Walking Dead, which is the point that we want to make, is that I don't think that survival is long-term entertainment.
Yeah.
It just isn't. If it were, then the ratings probably would still be as high as they used to be.
Right.
So one of the things that I will point out about the reviews of The Walking Dead as it aged, so the viewership obviously tanked. I think in the current season, I think they're at like 2 million viewers an episode, something like that. Back during the height, I think it was like 14, 15 million.
Yeah,
right?
Right.
Yeah, and so
2 million you can get on a good YouTube video. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. To me, I'm over here like, oh, I don't know, AMC. That doesn't sound like it pays the bills.
You're still putting money into this.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I speak on behalf of the 13 million people that no longer listened or tuned in, but I think that really is the point. I mean, like, you've already been through so much. You continue to go through hell, and all of these bad things keep happening. And then you take one of the most positive influences of the entire series. And this doesn't just go for the TV show. This is the same thing in the comic. A lot of people saw Glenn, like a spilled bowl of chili on the ground, and they just went, wow, I think we go play Hello Kitty Island Adventure. But what do you think, though? I mean, what do you think about that?
About the survival is not a good story arc, or
just the long term effects of watching survival. I mean, what do you think of that?
I think for the first however many seasons, it was great. There was a lot of interesting stuff. You're still like, ooh, what's going to happen? But then I think you start getting into just trying to freaking survive 7 seasons on, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Like, what is now? you need more than that. There needs to be more than just trying to be alive. Like, what's the goal? Obviously, the goal is trying to be alive, but like, it's getting tired.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, also, like, I just think, like, I don't know, show me a TV series that stays consistently good after 5 or 6 seasons.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what story you're trying to tell. Like again, I have favorite shows like House and Smallville. Like, I love those shows, but after like season 5 or 6, they start to go down a little bit. Same thing with Arrow. Arrow was gold its first 2 seasons, and then it hit season like I think that, like, for me, that started going down a little bit at season 4. I still watch the show all the way through, but I think any show, like, getting it to season 5 should be like a success story. Like, that's like, if you hit 5 seasons, like, you did a phenomenal fucking job as a TV show. But to keep it fresh and going for after that 5th season, like, I don't know. I don't think many stories do a good job at that. That's why, like, HBO series, it's like, nope. The ones that actually hold up well, and we still talk about them after they've ended. They have a plan. Like, this is going to go 5 seasons. This is the starting point, and this is where we're ending up. How are we going to get from A to B?
Right.
And when you don't have that end in mind, and you're just either you run out of source material, or you're now just like, you know what, we've told as interesting of a story as we can, and now we feel like we're just grabbing straws. I think that's just what happens.
They're building the road in front of them.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Build the plane as we fly it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and Joe, like, kind of to piggyback off of that too, and all of those, all of those shows and things like that you brought up, at least there's a ton of outside source material that they could possibly do with those things. Like, when you're talking about, for God's sakes, like a medical drama, there's a lot of medical things out there. And when you're talking about like superhero stuff, there's a lot of stuff you can do. There's less stuff you can do with a zombie apocalypse. Like, the threat doesn't change. How you can escape the threat doesn't deviate much because of the resources that you're limited to. I mean, it's the people that are out there, if they're alive, they're not nice. So you're just going to keep running into shitty people. There's not a lot left to do.
I agree with you too, because even if The Walking Dead didn't have the source material, because it does, like, they had plenty of source material at that stage, even when they got to the Negan arc and everything, and the Total War arc that they had. They even had plenty of stuff to go on after that. And I think what could be kind of a turnoff to people is that you do see some weird things the longer you go in The Walking Dead that completely, like, you don't see anything like in the first half of the property. And so, we're talking about things like pet tigers, and people wearing the faces of walkers and controlling them, like herds of sheep. And it does get a little bit out there, even for the stuff that you've seen with the property. So if you're familiar with it, you're like, yeah, I mean, I love The Walking Dead, don't get me wrong. But I know when these storylines came up, I'm like, this could turn some people off.
Yeah, you can't go Joe Exotic and hope that everything's Tiger King.
No, you can't. Yeah, just imagine Rick, and he's like sitting up there at the hilltop when they're first attacked, and he's like, I'm never gonna financially recover from this.
That fucking bitch, Carol Baskins.
That bitch needs to die. Okay, she needs to die.
Shit.
Well, here's something I think we could leave off on, because I don't want to talk just full on shit about The Walking Dead, because I mean, love the series. I actually am one of the people that has kind of kept with it. I'm only like 1 or 2 seasons behind. So I kept watching it, and one of the things that I found encouraging that from the data that's out there. So we talked about the season 7 drop off, where a bunch of people just tuned out. Well, the reviews of the show also tanked with viewership as well. But even with the viewership drop off, the most recent seasons have actually seen the review ratings go back up.
Ooh.
Interesting.
So yeah, you've got a lot of people missing. There's a lot of different actors now involved. But when I see that, I kind of get a little bit of good feelings.
Yeah, honestly though, here's the thing to be said about like not really having the original cast from season 1 still around. There's a lot of liberties that can be taken, and there's a lot that can be done with new characters and things like that. So maybe there is still some hope for really reviving the franchise.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I mean, I think maybe what could have been worked out very well for this series is maybe instead of doing like a spin-off to like, Fear the Walking Dead, maybe they turn The Walking Dead into an anthology series, and like every season we just have a different cast experiencing the same zombie apocalypse, but you get to tell a different story with it.
Or different areas of the country or the world, or that would be pretty cool, honestly.
So since this is an audio program, you can't see me leaning towards my mic when Joe said that, but they are going to do a Walking Dead anthology series.
God damn it, they stole the idea I just thought of that they've already been working on.
Yep.
Let's sue them.
Yep, once just piggyback on the Darabont case. But that's happening. There's an anthology coming on the way. There's a Carol and Daryl show miniseries. It's also going to be coming out. And you still have the Rick made for TV movie. I think movies. There's a couple of them coming out.
Oh.
And they've got Fear the Walking Dead and Walking Dead. I think World Beyond is even out right now. So, I mean, there is a ton still happening with this series. If you dropped off at one point, I mean, there's plenty to come back to. So, I don't know. I'm encouraged. When you see ratings dip, okay, fine, whatever. But when I see review enthusiasm go back up, it's like okay, that means they probably still care enough. We're not just putting something out there to put it out. You know? So I think there's a lot of good things yet. So that's why I am going back. I'm actually rewatching it. So
well, good. It's spooky season. You should, and everyone else should too. I will not be, because I value a restful night's sleep and my husband being alive. But
why are we laughing? We're always laughing at that.
Well, that is kind of fucked up, guys. What the fuck? No, I don't know. I'm kidding. You're laughing because it is. My brain is funny, I guess. I mean, you're laughing at me, not at Matt dying.
That's true. I'm not laughing at the loss of the Crown Prince ever.
Yeah.
And honestly, of the three of us, I think Matt would survive very well in the zombie apocalypse. He can fish. He is good with hunting stuff.
No, he's not.
He's resourceful.
Matt's never hunted a thing in his life.
Yeah, but he has a bow.
Yeah. You're right. We have weapons that are hardly ever used.
Well, I'm encouraged that if there were a zombie apocalypse, that I have the impression down so that when I see a person on the ground with their legs missing, I can say, I'm sorry this happened to you. and I'm good. That's my moment.
It's good you're doing that and not going with your other gut feeling, which is to go right up to it and then put an eagle feather on its head as you say, "Requiescat in pace."
Yeah, requiescat in pace.
Oh yeah.
Don't do that in a zombie apocalypse. That's a bad idea. They will bite you, and then it's over. I do love me some spooky season. You have the best lawn decorations this time of year. Horror movies are on TV 24/7, and everything is flavored like pumpkin. And what makes all this even better is that you get to enjoy it with your friends. And speaking of friends, mine have all gone to sleep. Well, Mark definitely has, and hopefully Chelsea has as well. But given all of this zombie talk, we can really only wish her the best. If you want to continue spooky season with us here at Digital Dissection, join us next week as we talk about Castlevania, the hit Netflix series that started from an 8-bit video game and turned into an anime masterpiece. We'll also be talking basically all things vampire in our side stitch. So, if you want to pop those fangs and enjoy a blood-sucking good time, stick with us and keep on dissecting.